Okay, well that didn't take as long as I thought it might. So yeah, just can do a quick, just half an hour of streaming, just to see the next game. That would be quite good. So after that, it's getting a bit late in the UK, but okay, we're going to see how that all goes. Am I up and running? I think I am. There we are. Absolutely fantastic. So it hasn't taken too long, looks like. Just one more move, one more ply, and it's going to be a draw. So I'm not expecting Leela to think just thinking all of a sudden, how long will Leela think about this move? But I'm not expecting it to think for too long, because it doesn't know about the draw rule. And then with a bit of luck we can move on to the next game and just give a few insights about that. Let me just get some of my stuff ready. Yay, clap clap, good game. Multiple browsers and several computers all clapping at the same time. So okay, next game. So who were the big winners? Belgrade Gambit and 19 others. Okay, so this is a modern defense, obviously, and yeah, I mean, I've reviewed a lot of books recently, and one of the interesting things was that I reviewed a book by the young English Grandmaster Daniel Fernandez called The Modernized Modern. Yes, they've every one of their books recently is called The Modernized, and they even did it for the modern by Thinkers Publishing. And I hadn't really ever thought of meeting the move 4a6 with 4a6 with a4. But Fernandez found a whole load of really interesting ideas with it. So I thought, thought about trying it, and Leela's evaluation was quite positive. So yeah, so seemed quite interesting, just to try it. I mean, there's various ones of these hippos that you can try. But this one actually seemed quite, just like quite a good one. And the games were quite interesting. Just a lot of them got a bit King's Indian-y with, white attacking on the queen side, black attacking on the king side. So seemed like a decent one, basically. So just gonna see how Leela actually is going to go about this. Strange enough, looking at Leela's PV currently, this is not a move that it ever played in my test games. So thanks for that, Leela. Yeah, I mean, Leela's play in the test games was pretty aggressive. This is looking a bit more positional. So yeah, I mean, both Leela and Stockfish were extremely aggressive in the text games, which was the reason for selecting it. So and they all chose the same first move, which is not the one that Leela's looking at now. So yeah, we'll have a little look. What can you say? Leela very positive about this. So what is Leela looking at? Yeah, I mean, this is a little edge for white, but it's not huge by any means. Yeah, I mean, these type of positions, they do they are a little bit better for white when you're taking on e5 and playing in this way, but it's not absolutely massive. Yeah, intriguing. I'll just check something else as well, because just check another source of information. Just having a look at the evaluations for this position and the move that, because what I did for every single opening, more or less, in the end, I ran it for Leela. It was 30,000 nodes on sorry, not 30,000, 30,000 kilonodes on the Chessify cloud. So you've got a Leela there that does about 100 kilonodes per second, so comparable to the TCEC. So yeah, I mean that was the general that was the way that I generally tested them. So I'm just wondering a little bit. Number 270, which move did Leela choose in there? 270. Yeah, not this one in any case. So interesting. Yeah, hard to predict sometimes. But yeah, this is really the only move that Leela has looked at, 6 bishop d3, which is quite surprising. Well, okay, I mean, we will see. I mean, it's always quite interesting to see, you know, what they come up with. But this looks a little bit more on the safe side, really. I think bishop d3. Although, okay, Stockfish is looking for something different. So no, knight c6. My goodness, Stockfish, that's really ugly. What are you doing? Yeah, I mean, Leela's line with knight d7 is pretty normal. And what was worrying me a little bit was this line with e5, and then Leela's looking to take on e5. I mean, these positions are better for white, you know, and they are more pleasant for white. Only, you know, and a human can easily mess them up. Only, you know, it's just sort of thing where you sort of say, you know, engines, they're not really going to mess these things up, are they? They're going to hold them past a certain point. Stockfish is looking for something slightly different, actually, which is quite nice, which makes me feel a little bit happier. Just playing e6 straight away, and expecting some sort of hippopotamus where but here white is very comfortable here. A bit of strange maneuvering, it must be said, but yeah, I mean, white is very, very comfortable here. So yeah, you never know. That might be quite interesting. I like it more than Leela's PV anyway. Although I do wonder about Leela's PV. I mean, why do you need to take on e5? Couldn't you just play a move like bishop c4 targeting f7? Yeah. Never know. But yeah, Stockfish was never very happy with these positions as black. So yeah, I mean, basically should be okay. Looks like it's going to get we're going to get a reasonably complex game. We're basically looking at this, looking at what Stockfish is looking at. Obviously, don't know exactly whether Leela's going to do the same, but White's just got a good centre space advantage, plenty of options for both sides, and I think a position that could really suit Leela. Yeah, I could imagine Leela playing in this Stockfish PV, playing d5 and slowly squeezing black. So, yeah, okay. I think I'm reasonably reassured about that. It's but quite interesting. I'd be interested to see what Stockfish wants to play as White. I can actually say that all of my test games, whether it was between Stockfish, Komodo, Stowflace or Leela, White played bishop c4 in this position, not bishop d3, and then most often followed up with h4. So yeah, quite a different sort of game to the one that that Leela's playing here. So that's why I'm slightly I'm acting slightly shocked, really, because yeah, you've just got used to this sort of approach somehow, and then yeah, the engines just do something completely different. So Stockfish PV has changed slightly. Ooh, converging a little bit on Leela's, but still looking at this e6 move, which yeah, I think that's the other one. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. I mean, okay, I liked these plans with bishop c4 and h4 for White, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind seeing e6. It's just very yeah, very tense and very unclear position. Just a little bit more nervous about yeah, about Leela going for this sort of symmetrical structure. It's just yeah, I mean, they're very easy to lose as black. That's not the point, but of course they're easy to lose through blunders and missing stuff. Some bishop c4 takes f7 trick or something like that. But then those are not the losses that you get with Stockfish, and yeah, and these sort of positions, there, yeah, I don't know, they're the ones these engines are just holding so without too much difficulty, really. In principle, quite unpleasant for black, but yeah, they're just holding them. So I'd rather not get that too early in the game. I mean, if it comes out later from from the middle game, then so be it. But wouldn't particularly want to see this already on move 7. You want a bit of uncertainty, a bit of dynamism, a bit of yeah, engines making different choices, and yeah, making mistakes too. So let's have a look. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the betting. What's being put on both sides. Close. So a win, my goodness, 15,000 only, and a draw, sorry, 41,000. 11 people betted on a win, and 409,000 for a draw, with 17 people. Yes, Mr. Beads wasn't there, of course, so but I think that's pretty good odds, really, for the win, I have to say. This is I don't know, yeah, I think if we get some sort of complicated Hippo e6 97, then I think there's quite good chances to for Leela to have decent winning chances. So intrigued. So Stockfish thinking for 6 minutes. Online somehow 6 minutes feels like half an hour or something, but 1.01. Just trying to find the. Let me just try and find the exact cloud analysis. Did I do that one? Pretty sure I did. Oh no. Just looking at my notes on what actually happened. $270. A bit mysterious. Tension is building. Well, the good thing about it is that looking at if Stockfish plays knight d7, then I think that Leela is going to insta-move. Oh, Stockfish's PV has changed quite a bit. Just lock it there. So expecting bishop e3, queen d2. Ooh, quite risky normally to play c5 this early. Bishop f1, rook b8, knight e5. So Stockfish just using tactics to hold. But this is not pleasant for black in the Stockfish PV. Wow. So, good lord, Stockfish, what are you doing? Well, that looks like just a pawn to me. Wow, what a line, what a line. Interesting. Bishop g4, wow. Well, I can honestly say that just the way this game's proceeding is nothing like I saw ever in my games. So interesting. Bishop g4. In fact, a slightly strange move when you consider that black went a6 and b6, or black went b6 rather. So the bishop was really being set up to go to b7. So bishop g4 is a slightly odd move. Yeah, I mean, it's going for some sort of Schmid-Benoni position. Which, in principle, is nicely under control for Leela. I mean, very nicely under control. My goodness me! Wow. Yeah, this PV's getting wilder and wilder. What is Stockfish? C5, D5 now. It wants G4 and H4. And now a pawn sack. Now get. Whoa! Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it's sort of. You sort of say positional blunder on positional blunder, really. Wow. Yeah, at some stage you do sort of think you don't understand chess anymore. This is really, really quite outrageous what Stockfish is doing in its PV here. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But I would actually bet on Leela to find some decent way of some decent way of playing here, actually. So, will Stockfish play bishop g4? That would be incredibly unusual, because I can't imagine Leela playing bishop g4. Oh, good luck! I'm glad I stayed up for this. Yeah, Pezza. It's been a bit of a long day, really, but this is my opening, so I really wanted to see it. Yeah, Sony Cast. I think I'll have a look what I do. I definitely would like to do some. I mean, what I always do after the super final is, hey, James, greetings. No, not particularly. I don't particularly like bishop g4 from Stockfish. I mean, what I normally do with the for the super finals, I write a report on the super finals, which then goes on. It's on the TC side. If you look under, it's in the links. I think in the links section, top of the TCC website. Then you can see I've done about last 7 super finals. I think the first ones are tiny. But then afterwards they just got bigger and bigger. So I'll definitely do that. But I might well try and do some summary videos as well. And yeah, because that would be quite good. But yeah, maybe just. But if I do that, I'll probably end up grouping games together in similar ideas, etc. And that would be good. Well, yeah, bishop g4 is often played in the. In the modern or the perk, but it's just very weird when it's just very weird when you've played b6. So if you played b6 on move 5, you wouldn't really expect to play bishop g4. I mean, Stockfish is making it sort of logical, because this pawn on b6, it's well, supports c5 break, which Stockfish is playing afterwards, and then it's also avoiding a4 to a5, tying down the queen side. But it is very strange. Oh, TC seems stuck. It could be because bishop g4 has been played. Wow, look at that. Amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, it's I'm quite amazed. I'm quite amazed. And as I said, I mean, I've run I think it's 8 long play test games between different machines, and I haven't had this once, not even close. So yeah, I'm slightly I'm quite astounded at seeing this. Yeah, I suppose I mean, the one thing, of course, is that yeah, both Leela and Stockfish are thinking that that White needs to waste the tempo. White's played bishop d3, so White will play bishop e2. So that's something. But actually, again, Stockfish is going for a completely different setup to Leela. I mean, Leela's expecting e6 and trying to play it solidly, in typical hippo fashion, but just then without the light squared bishop, which is a bit odd, you do have to say. And then Stockfish is looking for something completely different, just a c5 break, and playing it, yeah, a bit like a Schmid-Benoni. So really completely different approaches there. So could be interesting. But Leela's evaluation is, rising slightly. It thought it was 0.41 to start with. Now it's 0.43. So that is, for Leela fans, that's what they want to see. Gradually increasing. Yeah, I think what happens when the screen seems stuck is that unless I've actually got the browser tab actively open in front of me, and sometimes it doesn't refresh on the streaming software. So so I think that's why it looks stuck. But the TCC website is very, very good, and always up, always up. So so let's have a look. What is Stockfish looking at then? So Stockfish, still looking at this idea of c5, and Stockfish is getting yeah, more positive as or less negative as time goes by. 0.85. What is Stockfish looking at here? Expecting this sort of structure. It's not the world's most exciting thing, but yeah, I don't know. It feels really bad for black, I have to say. But you know, this sort of thing where you get tied down to the d6 pawn, and white's got a free hand to expand on the king side. That doesn't feel great. This is an interesting one. Leela's thinking of playing h3 very fast. So what Stockfish is expecting is castles, and then actually exchanging off the light squared bishops. Just white moving the knight away and exchanging off the light squared bishops and playing d5. And Leela's looking for something completely different. Leela's looking to get the bishop pair. Let me just lock, because Leela's thinking. And then take on c5 and simply have the two bishops. Wow, then expand on the king side. Well, that is an interesting game, at least. Wow. Leela, what have you been drinking? It's getting late, so I'm sure Leela's been boozing a little bit. But this is quite not quite sure what this PV actually is, but anymore. But it is definitely an interesting one. Very interesting, a completely different approach, really, which I'm again I'm quite happy about. Just grabbing, yeah, I mean, Leela's just grabbing the bishop pair, then yeah, opening up the center, and then afterwards just expanding on the king side. Quite nice plan actually. So not bad, not bad, not bad. Switch to castles. Oh good lord, what's this? Even this is slightly strange. Leela is definitely not e5. What is e5 about? Wow, Leela's getting enthusiastic. It's worrying me. I'm sure, yeah. There's Trucan chess. It feels like Leela's been having a drink or two, because this is quite... I don't think I've ever seen e5 like this. Yes, Android Poetry. I quite liked h3 as well, to be honest. Which one do I like more, Stockfish or Leela? I like them both. I do love them both, to be honest. It's and I like them best when they're playing each other, because I mean, still, despite, I mean, they're both incredibly strong. So you know, they will often choose the same way of playing a position, but fundamentally they are quite different. So you know, just if you can get the right position, then you can just get, you know, completely different games when they're white and black. You know, just different approaches, and that's really good. You know, that's really fantastic. That's what you really want to see. I'm struggling to understand all this. D takes c5, h3. Yeah, I mean, so obviously bishop takes f3 here. We'll just take back with the bishop, and well, this is rather awkward. But obviously, yeah, look at that. Stockfish only looking at d5. Leela, d takes c. Leela hasn't looked at d5 once. It hasn't looked once to play one of those Schmid-Benoni positions, which is quite interesting, actually. Quite interesting. So let me just lock the PV. So we go h3, and then Stockfish has got to put the bishop somewhere. d7. It's a slightly odd one. I'm wondering why it wouldn't put it back on e6, to be honest. But okay, let's just accept that as normal. Then Leela's going e5, a5 rather. Then we're going for this sharp line. It's a p-sac. Ooh, Stockfish. D takes c5 played. Yeah, this is a real piece sacrifice from Leela. Bishop f4. Wow. Extra pawn. Opposite coloured bishops. The dreaded words, opposite coloured bishops. I mean, these are two passed pawns for white, but well, yeah, these are two passed pawns for white, so some danger, I think, still, although you might be a bit worried. But Stockfish, boom! Why is nobody saying boom? Stockfish is at 1.13 all of a sudden. B takes c5, knight d2. Why are you so worried about knight d2, Stockfish? That's what I want to know. Intriguing. Yeah, I mean, knight d... yeah. Seems like, you know, it seems like... whoa! Bishop takes c3. Wash your mouth out. With soap and water, Stockfish. That is not a move that any self-respecting fish could play. Wow. Okay, but it's gone back. It's sort of now into Leela's line, actually. 1.23 though. My goodness me. Bishop takes c3. Wow. Whoa, Stockfish is all over the place. Its PV is changing continually. So I'm sort of wondering about the panic. I don't quite understand why it's so bad, but okay, I'll go with that. But it's quite incredible. I mean, really, this PV is changing a huge amount. You know, completely different concepts. So, and in general, the eval is going up. Going down now. Oh, 1.22. That's quite interesting because I mean, this position, Bishop d7, then Leela's going for a5, a completely different way of playing. Stockfish saying Bishop e3. Let's just lock the PV. Queen d4, a4. Yeah, this is just a pawn. To be honest, this is just an extra pawn. I mean, if you showed this to me, then I'd just say this must be, you know, you'd expect this to be technically winning for white. You know, the rest is just good technique, really. So, interesting. Learning from Caruana, Octo-N. I think Caruana learned from Stockfish. That's... although, actually, it must be said that somebody pointed out, a former coach of Caruana, it was the guy called Zilberman or something. He'd even written a book with these unusual bishop takes c3 ideas in the King's Indian. So, but yeah. So this is bishop e3 is Stockfish's idea, which actually looks very strong. A5 is Leela's idea. So it's going to be interesting to see what Stockfish thinks when this one comes up. Because Leela's line is an opposite coloured bishop ending with 2 extra pawns. But yeah, it is an opposite coloured bishop ending. So yeah, swapping off rooks. I mean, these endings are being held normally. So I'm slightly more nervous about that. But okay, there's plenty of moves in between this and this end point. So we'll hope. Yeah, I mean, we'll hope that that Leela finds something maybe a bit more interesting before it gets there. That's funny, Carlson. It's yeah, it's a good game so far. It's quite lots of unexpected stuff, lots of changes in eval. But Stockfish crunching through now. Knight takes c5. 31.8 giganodes. That's quite a lot of calculation. It's going back to 0.87. Yeah, I think the Caruana team was using Leela during the World Championship. I definitely heard that. Yeah, I mean it's really going to depend on this move 12 really, because it looks like essentially Stockfish has decided that that this line is bishop e3 is manageable, kind of. Definitely manageable, looks like. So now we're really looking to see whether whether Leela's move a5 is as promising as it looks. But well, at first glance, Leela keeping on increasing its evaluation. Yeah, it's funny looking at the Stockfish evaluation there that, you know, it went all the way, lots of different moves, lots of different things, going up to 1.22, and then it just ends, well, with 36.9 giganodes, and it just ends at 0.70. It's quite striking. Yep. Why spend more than 58 seconds if you're going to sacrifice a pawn? What's the point? Yeah, I mean, I really hadn't expected this sort of forcing line to come out of this opening, to be honest. It's trying to remember, actually, reminds me of another line that was in Daniel Fernandez's book with with knight takes c5. So oh, Keres wanted a5 rather than e5. Let me just have a quick check. Oh, yeah, okay. Interesting. Oh, Leela. Leela's moved from also for the 12th move there, looking for Stockfish's move. So no longer playing a5, but looking at going bishop e3. So we've got some convergence here. To be honest, Stockfish's move is kind of worrying me, really, because this is really, you know, one of those moves that just stabilizes the queen side. You can no longer undermine it with a5. So, oh, but Stockfish, all of a sudden, Stockfish doesn't think that's possible anymore. And that's kind of key, really. I mean, if Stockfish is able to take some time here just to stabilize its queen side, and that's fine, then yeah, then that's actually quite annoying. But if Stockfish thinks that this is the best that it's got, you see it's veering in between the two, then yeah. Because the other line, or this line that's in Leela's PV, is just it is just going to be an extra pawn for White. You'll get the a4 pawn and the a6 pawn. You know, which is just, it's just a clear extra pawn. So you know, should be very good chances to convert it. Even if, you know, extra pawns are never as much as +1. You know, extra pawn is never an evaluation of +1. It's always something less than that. But if Stockfish gets away with a5, stabilizing the queen side. I mean, what I don't like about this line is bishop c5, bc, knight e4, knight f6. And I mean, basically, you know, yeah, White's pawns have been sort of wrecked here on the queen side. So even if you win, you know, one of those, like the c pawn or something, you know, it's not like you've got a full pawn extra. It's just double pawns, and I don't like that very much. Now there is, I suppose, the one thing that there's this difficulty to castle that surprisingly enough Black has. This is why, but yeah, okay. This is an extra pawn though, and again, I would have thought that this was just, if you ask me, I would have said this was just totally winning, with a pass pawn on d7 and another a pass pawn, and a slightly weak black king. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was assuming, you know, in this position that black would just be able to castle, but it seems that you can actually prevent a little bit. But yeah, Stockfish down to 0.76, so a little bit. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure really, because Stockfish's evaluation is going up and down an awful lot. So yeah, it could well be that the position's just very, very complicated. Leela, how long did Leela spend on that? A couple of minutes, I think. 1 minute 25. So didn't want this move a5 anymore. Just going for bishop e3. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting moment when we get to move 14, I think. First of all, to see whether Stockfish really sticks to its choice, and then afterwards to see whether, if we get Stockfish's PV with a5, whether yeah, whether Leela is going to find anything against that. I mean, in general, you would think that the time that you're spending on this, that you could exploit with knight c4, attacking b6. You would have thought that black doesn't have time to get away with this, but yeah, black is actually threatening also to take on a4 with the knight, you know, which so if you go knight c4, you could, you know, consider moves like knight a4, and you're actually covering this b6 square. So yeah, it's possible that possible that there's something in it, but not clear. Yeah, Viren, we lost our pawn sack. Leela decided. Thanks, Cam. Leela decided that it wasn't going to sack a piece, and it was just going to do things the Stockfish way, which does look less exciting, I have to say. Interesting, but the fact that Stockfish's valuation is varying so much, it must, yeah, normally shows it's a bit of a risky line. That there's, yeah, quite a few details to calculate, so you never know. Yeah, Keres yesterday was pretty good, really. That was very nice play. I really liked the way Keres played. It was, yeah, with the initiative, it was very, very direct. And yeah, got some really convincing wins as well. So interesting, really interesting. Always good to see, yeah, new developments like that. Ooh, 1.03. I mean, I think. Yeah, Stockfish is spending a lot of time on this line, and just with one PV all the time. I mean, I think the key thing is this position that strange you go Rook AD1 rather than Rook FD1 actually. I mean, you would have thought Rook FD1 here would have been the move. Oh, of course not. Well, I should probably show that actually, shouldn't I? That if we go so I was thinking that in this position, this is the PV, that we should go Rook FD1 rather than Rook AD1, because then you can keep this rook to come into the B file. We've always got these tricks where we go castles, and if Queen D7, then Rook E1 check. Obviously, Rook E1 allows Queen D7 and King H2 allows taken Rook A1. So yeah, that's why Stockfish is looking at Rook AD1, and then later it plays Rook B1, which is, you know, less efficient. But I guess this is this is kind of the thing that Stockfish keeps on calculating, because its king is caught in the centre. It doesn't seem able to move. Casting king sign seems to be either impossible because it's losing something, or it's too risky. I mean, I guess, you know, ideas maybe even like F5 and then Queen H6, you know, could be very, very dangerous there. So yeah, and to be honest, that wasn't at all obvious to me that black might have problems with castling when I saw this position. But yeah, I mean, you get the bishop out of the E file with tempo. You're probably threatening Queen D6 as well. You need to go Rook A6, and then we hit the rook, and then we pile up on the bishop D7, and as if by magic, it's yeah, castling is not so easy. So yeah, that is quite interesting. But yeah, Stockfish is going to do it. He's going to take on C3. Another example of playing bishop takes C3 in modern or King's Indian. It's quite incredible how many examples there are nowadays. It's many of them are from Stockfish. I think, yeah, no, I annotate one of them. One of those examples I annotate in the Silicon Road as well. Just a fantastic game from the SuperFinal where Stockfish played bishop takes c3 and then somehow survives. Okay, big moment now, because this is the really big disagreement. I mean, well, Leela was looking at a5, 12a5 before instead of bishop e3, but now really, you know, this is where it gets serious, because if a5 works fine, then yeah, this whole sharp plan with with a quick 10e5, etc., is probably going to be yeah, it might have been too early somehow, but if a5 yeah, turns out not to be good at all, then yeah, then this has been a really good attempt from Leela. But Stockfish is at 0.69, so yeah, I mean that's pretty relaxed, really. Whoa, Leela. Ah, I'm back. I'm just wondering, actually, I seem to see that Leela, I think that Leela fell for the trick I'd just shown, just early in its PV. I think that it's, because I saw, what I saw in Leela's PV was this. Oops, sorry, was Rook FD1, and now Queen C7. I'm kind of I'm kind of thinking that Leela originally missed this Rook E1 check trick, and now it's back to a normal PV. So what? Oh dear, Stockfish. Has Stockfish escaped here? What is Leela doing, actually? Knight f6. Leela is grabbing a pawn and going for an extra double C pawn. An extra double C pawn. That doesn't really give me the feeling of what's happening there. This is just a extra double C pawn. I somehow don't think this is what Stockfish is going to be afraid of. I mean, it's looking like a nice double C pawn, but I don't think this is the way to do it, really. But yeah, even Stockfish thinks that this whole line with taking on f6 then is no longer dangerous. So that is yeah, okay, so basically Stockfish has just given up a C pawn wrecked white structure, so it's an extra double oh good lord, sorry, wrong screen. Yeah, so basically Stockfish has given up the a pawn, but wrecked white structure, and you're just a double C pawn up. Mwah. Yeah, not fantastic, I think. Yeah, and Leela moving a little bit there as well. Oh dear, that's a little bit of a shame there. That's yeah, I mean, when you see this, of course, you start thinking, well, you know, Leela, maybe you needed to think a little bit longer about before going into such a complicated line, you know, which has the chance, obviously the you know, the very high risk, you know, a complicated line like this has the very high risk of there being you know, a mistake in the analysis, you know, and or a misevaluation, and yeah, obviously you know, the danger is simply that you just end up going for continuations all the time, which are you know, interesting, but they're taking action too soon, so you always end up yeah, reaching drawn positions somehow. It's because, you know, you sort of think that if you know, if Leela had seen this line before, it wouldn't have played 10e5. It would have played you know, 9h3. He would have played h3 early or something like that. You know, which again looked quite promising for White. So it's a little bit irritating from that point of view. But okay, I mean, Leela gets to press with a with an extra pawn and a bit more space. But I would say that more or less odds on that that Stockfish holds this. Yeah, little bit of a shame. It's again, very interesting play, but here I think Leela just overcooking things a bit. You know, taking action much earlier than it needed to. Really. All right. I don't know. I think Stockfish is going to be dangerous as White in this line. So yeah. So intrigued about that. It's a good point, actually. Do I have? I mean, what are we expecting? What is my machine saying? Let's have a look at that. What is my machine saying that Stockfish will play? Don't save. Just intrigued. B6. Yeah, bishop c4, e6, h4. Yeah, that's that's basically it. That's what I've been seeing all the time in G3. Wow. Well, there we are. G3. Incredible. Just incredible what you see in different versions of Stockfish. G3. That's possible. It's not such a bad move. But rather surprising, I have to say. Even then, against G3, Stockfish is looking at bishop G4. So yeah, incredible. But yeah, certainly the Stockfish versions from 3 or 4 months ago, they were just looking for something completely different. So well, okay, we're going to see. It'd be intriguing to see what they come up with. Of course, this is incredibly low nodes compared to TCEC, so it could all change. But yeah, intriguing to see. So I'll just wait to see whether Leela does actually end up. Oh, good lord. There we are, taking the pawn on c5. 0.91 from Stockfish, 0.38 from Leela. Well, we're going to see. It's there are in principle some some grinding chances, but yeah, again, Stockfish, I wouldn't have thought that this will lead to much. But you never know. There can still be first times for Stockfish mishandling an endgame. So